The advocate of nonviolence, whether they're Gandhi or Dr. Martin Luther King, you really have had a tremendous influence on all activists in the Middle East who believed in nonviolence, who continue to believe in nonviolence. We follow the histories of and the sayings of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and we consider them to be a major source of inspiration. In fact, in the Egyptian Revolution, for instance, they've translated the works of Martin Luther King. They've translated a book about his life, a cartoon really based on his life, and that was that played an inspirational role to a lot of activists on the ground. In Syria, we've also have a lot of exposure to the sayings of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and I think the idea of nonviolence have really been absorbed by a lot of activists through reading about these two activists and about their local interpreters. We have an Islamic scholar called Jawdat Saeed, who has been influenced a lot by Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and who tried to sort of put an Islamic version of their statements and their philosophies, so that the local population, which is majority Muslim, can also be inspired by that. And I think he has done a lot of good over the last 2 decades, 3 decades, in fact, of his activism and trying to get the philosophy of nonviolence going. So for us, nonviolence has been key. Very much, a lot of people will say the internet was one of the instruments we used, but nonviolence as a philosophy was something that really helped us understand how we need to cope with the dictatorial regimes we have, and how we can sort of call their bluff on so many issues. They accused us of being people who are barbaric and uncivilized, and here we are. The protesters in the streets are the ones who are raising the slogans about national unity. They're the ones who are behaving very civil-like, and who absorbed, who are behaving in a civilized way, and it's the regime and his thugs that are really behaving in a barbaric way. So we've managed to show the world really that the peoples in the Middle East are very much, despite all the problems we have in our educational systems and the corruption of our government, the reality is we're very much capable of learning. We're very much capable of absorbing ideas as noble as nonviolence. We're very much capable of fielding civil movement, nonviolent movement on the street to demand our rights. And in fact, that if there are any barbarians among us, they are really the regimes and the thugs. So we have managed to change that impression. We've managed to actually show the entire world where the problem lies. The problem is not in the people, not in the prevailing culture. The problem is in the ruling system and the ruling elite that have been propped by the international community throughout the last few decades in the name of the Cold War, in the name of realpolitik, and under different justifications. But finally, the time has come to realize that the people in the Middle East, be they Arab or Kurds or Assyrians or Armenians or Iranians or Turks, really deserve to be free. They know how to fight for freedom, and indeed they know how to learn, and they don't let religion, whether it's Christianity or Islam, whatever, cloud their judgment on inspiration. Whenever they say a good idea, be it uttered by Martin Luther King or by Gandhi, it's good for us as well. Religion is not going to separate us from each other. Nonviolence is a viable philosophy, whether it's put in an Islamic context, a Christian context, or a Hindu context. And this is something that we are now demonstrating and understanding of in practical terms on the street as we fight for our freedom, nonviolently.